to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite. Obey your thirst.
Would you consider yourself superstitious? Adam here, and I was working with a client that had been following a superstitious thought pattern for almost 4 years. And it would really manifest itself when it came to them choosing the kind of clothing that they would wear, that if they didn't wear certain clothing, they would feel that something bad was going to happen. And it would feel like this element of dread, which would deter them from doing that. Because if something really bad could happen and that feeling can go away just by changing your clothes, why not change your clothes? But the problem with that is that you then positively reinforce the relief of changing the clothes. And then that inner dialogue, which is quite often how superstition works, gets more powerful, more powerful, more powerful. So in this hypnosis session, what I use is an element of pattern interrupt, so like blurring what the clothes look like, but also changing the influence of the voice. And I asked this client, is there anyone from your past that you just wouldn't follow their advice? In fact, if they tried to advise you or influence you on something, it would probably lead you to doing the absolute opposite. And there was some people from their past that felt like that. So what we did, and what you'll experience in this hypnosis session, is changing the inner dialogue from the previous voice, which was very much like their own voice, but disassociated, into the voice of someone from their past that had no credibility, that couldn't influence them, that if they tried to influence them, it would make them more defiant. So we've got that element going on, almost refining and updating that inner dialogue for them. But the inner dialogue wasn't everything. They had a physical sensation, and that sensation was heat and tightness and pressure. And what they would do is they would feel that, and they wouldn't like that feeling at all. And that would then encourage them to change their clothes, at which point that sensation went away. Now, that might feel strange if you've never experienced something like that, but a lot of people feel something similar, but it might be, for example, in their gut. You know, they're thinking about doing a speech and they feel these butterflies in their gut, and then they make an excuse and then that sensation goes away. So be careful what you reward. If you reward let's say deterrence and avoidance, expect more of those. This was rewarding the influence of a disassociated part. And there's an element here in this hypnosis session of giving it the narrative of being a false fear, a bad advisor, because it's not provably wrong. If someone in your life says, just imagine like an astrologer or someone tried to warn you of things and said, you know, don't wear black shoes today or something bad's going to happen. And every time you take that advice, well, you can't know if something bad didn't happen, if it was because you didn't wear the black shoes or not. It's not provably wrong. It's like the whole conspiracy theory of there being pink elephants are hiding in trees. And if someone says, well, you can't show me that there's any evidence that pink elephants are hiding in trees. And then you could say, because they're very good at hiding in trees. So these things that can't be provably wrong, more often than not, are just nonsense. So that element of being able to call the bluff of these kind of fears and superstitions is a liberating experience, because once you've really done that and you said, nah, I don't believe that, let's see what happens, from a place of setting the intention that something amazing is going to happen, well, then it doesn't take long for all of that power to dissipate quickly, because you just simply didn't reward the initial superstition or fear. You did your own thing anyway, and everything worked out fine. Now, every now and then, of course, there is the possibility that something bad does happen, but that's just life. Bad things happen all the time. That doesn't mean that there is a curse or bad luck or misfortune linked to what clothes you wear. What's more likely is just there's a statistical probability of something bad happening, at any day. We've all, hurt ourselves or kind of tripped over or something's happened. But what can happen is this really interesting thing called the belief cycle. If you believe that wearing certain clothes means that you're going to have something bad happen to you, and you really believe that, one, that feeling may influence the choices that you make, a form of self-sabotage. Or what's more likely is that if something happens that isn't great, you then attribute that to the fact that you did that thing. And this is a form of cognitive bias, that kind of confirmation bias, they would call it. And in my opinion, this is how a lot of horoscopes work. You read a horoscope about, you're going to meet someone tall and attractive, and then you're suddenly looking for someone tall and attractive. And then when you find that tall and attractive person, your horoscope becomes true because the confirmation bias that took place. So there's lots of psychological principles taking place here. At its core, it is about liberating you from a unuseful, disempowering, superstitious belief that has become a ritual of comfort, not because there's any truth to it. Clearly, this was created for an individual. It might be that your superstitions have nothing to do with clothes and might have something to do about how many times you flip a switch on and off on a light switch, or whether you avoid cracks in the pavement. If you are dealing with superstitions and it's getting too controlling in your life, it's worth clicking the link in the description, schedule a free consultation call with me, and then I can explain how my process could help with your specific situation. But you might get some value from this one, though, even though it was created for someone else. So find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. You're ready to move your business forward, but first, you need to find the right team. Start your search with Indeed-sponsored jobs. It can help you reach qualified candidates fast, ensuring your listing is the first one they see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. See the results for yourself. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that feeling of calm relaxation, and as you exhale, feel a wonderful feeling of release, as if any tension, stress, and worries are starting to leave your body in your outward breath. As you breathe in and breathe out, just get a sense of how much easier it would be with your eyes closed. So on the next outward breath, allow your eyes to close, taking you deeper and deeper relaxed. That's it. And the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you feel. And the more relaxed you feel, the deeper you breathe, where each breath takes you deeper and deeper relaxed. I want you to get a sense of really feeling that you're breathing in resourceful relaxation on the inward breath, and you're releasing any stress, tension, or echoes of old behavior that doesn't serve you anymore. Just leaving your body on that outward breath. Almost like each breath is clearing the static of the day. Switching channels. Moving you from the outer world to the inner world. From noise to signal. From chatter to clarity. And with your eyes closed, you may notice that familiar sensation of drifting inward, almost like stepping into a quiet hallway where every footstep becomes softer, slower, and calmer. And with each breath, imagine going deeper into that hallway until the world behind you becomes faint and the world ahead becomes still. And I want you to imagine standing in front of a wardrobe. Maybe a wardrobe or a closet you recognize. Nothing changed, not more elaborate, not more basic. And I want you to get a sense that as you open the wardrobe and the closet, imagine every item inside it is blurred. You know how they do on videos where they blur a face, blur an image. Just imagine every item, everything from a shirt, a suit, socks or underwear are all blurred, colors fading, edges softening, labels unreadable. Almost like the wardrobe is being reset to factory settings. Clothes just becoming fabric, fabric becoming just threads, and threads becoming nothing more than neutral material. As you breathe in and breathe out, with each slow breath, I want you to feel that the wardrobe is losing meaning, losing significance, losing symbolism, like a blank slate, a neutral canvas, just something that is lost any labels, meanings, narratives, and even superstition. And I want you to imagine getting ready, perhaps in the morning, choosing those clothes. Everything is still blurred. And I want you to imagine that old internal narrator, the one steering your choices and decisions, now takes on a familiar voice, but not the usual voice. Introduce a voice of someone that carries no credibility with you. In fact, the more they try to influence your choices, the more defiant you would become. I want you to consider that voice as a voice with a poor track record. And I want you to imagine that voice perhaps just being there like a floating voice, or maybe coming from a physical person there by your side or behind you, next to that wardrobe, that closet. Create a personification of that advisor. Give them a name, a look, of facial expression. And I want you to get a sense that you can't rely on what that voice has to say. Because their warnings are based on a desire to control you, not to help you make good decisions, but just to be right. But how do you know if they're right, if they could never be proven wrong? I want you to get a sense that you've rewarded this habit for years now. But now, times are changing. Now, when they try and influence, it just seems hollow. It seems outdated. It may even seem manipulative, controlling. But that tonality, that volume, creates the opposite effect. And just feel that defiance within you. The harder they try to influence, the more you desire to trust your judgment, not that voice. And I want you to ask this inner narrator, calmly, clearly. How many times were your warnings wrong? See how it responds. And maybe it stumbles and fumbles and struggles to answer. And you get a sense that this voice that you've been agreeing with was never because it was wise, and it was never intuitive, and never protective, just noisy and controlling, using fear and sensations to control your behavior. And you can ask, how many days did nothing happen? And that part tried to influence you to do something different. I want you to put this voice on trial. Make it defend its approach. And maybe it attempts to say, well, nothing bad happened because you followed my advice. Imagine laughing at the ludicrous nature of that statement. The nature of science, of that hypothesis, is that it can be proved wrong. Otherwise, it loses all credibility. So ask that voice, what proof do you have at all? And just get a sense that the whole narrative is like a house of cards crumbling down because there is none. The illusion collapses. For centuries, sailors didn't venture too far in case they fell off the edge of the world. I'm sure that belief had real emotions, real fears. And yet one day, a sailor decided to call the bluff of that idea. And once they did, the whole idea of falling off the edge of the world became laughable. And I want you to feel that this narrative is equally laughable. And all you need to do is prove it wrong, not 100 times, but just once. and the illusion collapses. But an advisor that's used to being listened to may not go easily. They may create physical sensations there in your body. And if you follow those sensations, that false prophet still has power. And I want you to imagine defying the words, and imagine feeling that sensation. Maybe heat, maybe tightness, maybe pressure. And at the very point where it comes, imagine smiling big, a big smile, like you're being tested. Remember a time when you used to play chicken? Whoever backed down first lost. But you're not going to back down this time. You're going to ride that sensation, knowing that it can't last any more than a few seconds or minutes. And you're going to set the intention that you're going to have one of your best days in defiance of this control, this superstition. You're not going to believe the bullshit. And I want you to get a sense that every now and then, if this feeling comes up, you'll do something unexpected. Maybe some star jumps, a few press-ups, shaking your body. And when you do something unexpected that doesn't follow the ritual of the past, you're sending that sequence of dominoes in a different direction. This narrative only can exist if when it controls you, you allow it. And when it influences and intimidates you, you believe it. And when those things go, there's nothing left. I want you to think of a time in the past where someone made a threat but couldn't back it up. And by calling their bluff, all of their power and influence was gone. This is now this situation. The words, the feeling is an opportunity for you to call their bluff. And in doing so, you are saying that you trust your instincts more than you believe false fears. And just imagine putting on the clothes in direct defiance of that advisor and going on to have an exceptionally good day. And if you could imagine what that would be like, let me know by nodding your head. And imagine you've done that for a month or two of wearing what you like, when you like it, calling the bluff of any inner dialogue or sensations. How difficult would it be for it to have any influence over you 2 months from now, when you've defied it every time? And if anything unfortunate happens, your immediate thought will be, every now and then, unfortunate things happen. It is a statistical certainty that every now and then, unfortunate things will happen. But you will laugh at the idea that it's your clothing choices that had anything to do with it. It's just statistics, numbers, and chance. Nothing more. If your unconscious agrees with this new way of framing things, thinking about things, diluting the credibility of this voice and dialing up your own sense of certainty as to what parts of your intuition you will trust and which ones lack the credibility. Let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And then imagine leaving that closet, that wardrobe, going back down the hallway. And imagine floating back all the way into your own physical body in the here and the now, with awakened neural pathways, looking forward for you to call that bluff. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.